Ultimate MK Podcast.
Oh man, Corey,
Neil.
did you ever think that we were going to get here?
There were moments where I wasn't sure, where I wondered, man, can we really watch all the episodes of Mortal Kombat Conquest? And it turns out we can.
Yeah, we can. This is it. This is the season finale that was forced to become the series finale of Mortal Kombat Conquest, episode 22, Vengeance.
It's just like that song by The Doors, This Is the End. I had mixed feelings coming into this one because, like, I'm excited that we've managed to, like, now that we can talk about this show now in its totality,
Yes.
which I think is exciting, but also, like, I do wish there were more episodes where I could be like, if I'm just hanging out at home, like, oh, today is a day where I feel like taking in a new adventure with the gang. And
Sure.
unfortunately, those are all going to be familiar ones now whenever I inevitably revisit some of these.
I'm not going to question your ability to retain the things we've already seen, but you made it pretty clear to me on occasion.
I remember, like, the through lines of this series. I might not
yeah.
remember very specific moments.
Right. I mean, I've watched the series many times, and even I,
Right.
on this watch through, got surprised by things I hadn't noticed before or episodes I had forgotten. You know, pleasant surprises and then sometimes not so pleasant surprises as well. But, yeah. I will say I am, there's like I'll give it like a 70% chance that once we're done recording this podcast, like within 3 days, I'll be throwing on episode 1 again just to have it on in the background
Just to feel something.
probably while I'm editing this episode or doing something else, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things for me.
Part of me's kind of curious to revisit this with all of the knowledge I now have, but I don't think I want to do that too quickly. I also
Sure.
find that just generally I'm the kind of person who, if I try to rewatch something too close to when I first saw it, I get bored or kind of irritated because I'm like, I remember all of this. Like, it's too fresh.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I find that occasionally a struggling point. Other times I'm able to just, like, get way into it still. Like, yeah, it kind of comes and goes, but
So before we get too deep, general first impressions of this episode. I know neither of us were really stoked about about episode 21, and yeah, I just want to check in with you real quick a little bit about how you initially feel about episode 22.
you know what, Neil?
What?
I have no idea what their plan possibly could have been. Beyond this. This feels like the finale of a show that knew it was ending, and yet we know that is not true.
Right.
And the overall focus of the episode is one that I don't fully understand. And what happens to some of our beloved characters, I also don't fully understand. I want to feel this out through discussion. I'll be honest, though. I'm not crazy about it.
Really?
I was not super psyched when I watched it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel much better about it at this very moment. Let's see where it goes.
All right. Well, I'll say I really liked it.
The duality of man.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I mean, and part of it is, having some knowledge about what they were attempting to do in the future.
Yeah, and I've got guesses. Like I think I kind of get it, like where they might have wanted to go from here.
Right.
But I think potentially longer term goals were prioritized over most, if not all, of the characters of the television program.
On a more micro level, do you think does it in hindsight make the last episode a little better if you examine them all as a whole, just the storyline and the twist and everything that we'll get into?
Like 21 and 22.
Yeah.
I actually think I like 21 less.
As a result of this one, it made 21 worse.
Because now it feels and that maybe I'm just sort of speaking out of my ass, like that was a kind of a gut reaction. I hadn't really thought about it, but I think maybe the thing that I find kind of odd is it still feels like a finale sort of emerging out of nowhere and reprioritizing a lot of what had been a lot of the pieces that had been being played up to that point in favor of this other thing. And I feel like Vengeance, it continues that.
Okay.
That's like, it still feels like it's prioritizing a specific plan for how they wanted it to end.
Right.
instead of things that I feel like would have been a bit more consistent with what we had seen throughout the rest of the show and up to this point.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I liked in this episode when they were checking in with all of our other characters. I mean, for one very specific reason, but it would have been a little bit like, it would have been cool to see some of those things like sewn into the last episode a little bit, just to sort of make everything feel a little more connected.
Yeah. The last episode is setting up one very specific part of the finale.
Right. Yeah.
And then there are still things within the finale that remain as yet unexplained.
Yes.
And I want to get out in front of this now.
Okay.
This is not, I need everything laid out for me very specifically. And it's not, I need everything to have very specific setup and payoff. Like, I'm not being a baby about this.
Sure.
Things can be complicated or have unexpected turns in them or work on the basis of theme rather than specific plot. This isn't being like a fucking plot psycho, because I find that kind of thing insufferable. Yeah. I just really don't know what the plan was here.
Yeah.
At what point do we set the spoiler alarm off so we can get slightly more specific?
Spoilers from here on out. I think, Corey, why don't you go over to the Corey corner and then ask me to do something?
All right, Neil, so I'm over here in the Corey corner, so why don't you get over here?
Whoa!
Welcome to the Corey corner. So, it's the finale. It's vengeance. It's a heated debate between Jeffrey Meek and Jeffrey Meek.
It's hot Meek on Meek action.
So Raiden is in Shaka, and he is screaming at Shao Kahn through a portal, and Raiden goes in there, and they end up in what seems to be this like weird liminal, like between realms space. And throughout the episode, Raiden and Shao Kahn are basically having this sort of like philosophical debate about like who they are as people and the nature of like wanting power and how to use violence to get power, whether or not Shao Kahn is right, whether or not Raiden is right or wrong, hinting at their past relationship over thousands of years, scrutinizing sort of Raiden's relationship to the realm that he protects. That's intercut throughout the whole episode, that sort of discussion that they're having. Meanwhile, there's been earthquakes. Fun fact, there was actually an earthquake near me.
Oh, shit.
2 days ago. I actually didn't feel it. I didn't notice it happened at all. I just think it's funny that it was like that these things are happening close together.
Yeah.
It was actually, I keep saying it. My current overnight schedule has fried my brain. By a few days ago, I mean yesterday.
Okay. Well, it'll be over a week by the time this gets released. So
fair enough. So Ciro and Taja are at the combat club, which has been pretty thoroughly fucked up by this earthquake that keeps happening, and they're like, yeah man, I don't know, stuff seems weird, we keep getting aftershocks and earthquakes. Tasha's like, doesn't the sky seem like it's a weird color to you?
Yeah,
and the sky's kind of outworldy purple.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, shit seems a little bit fucked up. And then Kung Lao's like, okay guys, I can't find Raiden anywhere. This is when we most need Raiden, and we can't find Raiden, and this shit sucks. So Raiden is, there's so many names. I'm gonna say so many names, Neil.
Yeah, me too. I mistyped names.
Fuck. So Kung Lao is walking around looking for Raiden, and he gets bumped into by a hooded person who slips him a note like they're in 8th grade, and he's like, oh, I wonder what's on this note. And he goes, and Katana is in Earthrealm, and she's like, hey, shit is fucked. Something is wrong. Palace is spooky quiet. We have to meet at the Temple of Light to talk. Shao Kahn's planning something. It's bad. It's bad. Meet me there. And he's like, okay, great. Can do. Got it. And then we see some sort of shadowy figure eavesdropping on them.
With a priest-like presence.
Yeah, maybe some sort of shadowy priest. So we get a bunch of interactions that set up where all of our characters are at. So Katana is coming to get Kung Lao. Kung Lao and the gang can't find Raiden. Shit is fucked up. That's a problem. Vorpax is with Shang, still trying to convince him that building this army is a good idea and that they need to get down, and this is a win-win for everybody, and they'll overthrow Shao Kahn and they'll overthrow Quan Chi or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're talking amongst themselves. Reptile and Kiri are in Zatera, and he's like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? I have to go tell my general something. We got a big problem. And Kiri is like, hold on, we can solve this problem. Just let's figure this out. I know you're a traitor. We know what we did. We fucked up. We just have to go talk to Vorpax. This is a fixable problem. She's not going to say no to an army. She's not going to say no to an alliance. All she has is Shang Tsung. It's fine. It's whatever. Meanwhile, Quan Chi and Xian
Yes.
I'm so glad I finally got that right at the last possible opportunity because I kept getting all of their names confused. Quan Chi and Xian are in Quan Chi's area, and they're sort of bickering about their position in the state of affairs with knowing that they don't have a deal with Kriya, that Vorpax is with Shang Tsung, that Shao Kahn's off doing whatever the fuck he's doing. Kung Lao still a thorn in their side. They don't really have a spot to set up. And also Xian is mad because Shang Tsung has made a new slave, for not lack of a better phrase. Celine.
Quan Chi has made a new slave.
What did I say?
I think you said Shang Tsung.
Motherfucker. Somebody go to the tape. Also, I just want to say, as the resident Canadian on this show, in the last 2 episodes, we have introduced characters named Celine Dion. That's fun.
Oh my god, you think that was on purpose?
I doubt it because they're not related, but maybe.
It's too much of a coincidence.
So there you go. And Kung Lao and the gang realize Raiden is probably in Shaka still because he hadn't left and is probably in trouble of some kind. They go get Omijis, and they're like, Omijis, we need your help. She's like, fuck off. And they're like, come on, we need your help. And she's like, you guys are stupid. Ciro, we can just stay here and have a lot of sex until we all die.
Horny.
And he's like, nah. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll help you then, whatever. Fuck you. She takes them to Shaka and lets them in, and they find where Raiden is being held by Shao Kahn. And I've glossed over the most significant part of the episode, which is that in all of these interactions that these characters are having, they are rudely interrupted by shadow priests from Shao Kahn's, or they're more like, they're shadow priests, but they're like warriors, as shadow warriors, who fucking kill everyone.
Everybody.
And the episode ends with Raiden being taken to Shao Kahn, beat to shit, in bondage, like, fuck you, Shao Kahn wins, eat a dick.
Yeah.
We have at least, the phrasing at the end of the episode is weird, he's at least captured Zhu Jin. Unclear on a realm level really what happened, but Raiden's having a bad time. But I just want to give a quick laundry list for everybody to really make it clear what has happened here. So, Kung Lao, dead. Ciro, dead. Taja, dead. Vorpax, dead. Shang Tsung, dead. Quan Chi, dead. Xian, dead. Celine, dead.
Katana.
Reptile, dead. Kiri, dead. Katana, dead. Raiden, beat up.
Yeah, and held captive.
Omijis lives.
Well, we didn't see her die, but we do see a shadow priest tracking her after she leaves.
My headcanon is that Omijis ironically lives.
She probably
that's the thing she wants the least.
Like, honestly, she probably does because of this curse that's on her where she can't die. Like, I think it would take a world-ending thing. I wonder if that would even work, if she'd just be, like, banging around in space, you know, bouncing off meteors.
Some of these deaths are ironic. Quan Chi attempts to teleport away.
No, don't spoil it here. Don't spoil that here, please.
Okay.
I want to talk about that so bad.
Okay.
It's so fucking funny. It's the funniest shit.
But yeah, so this show ends ostensibly with everyone you could possibly be aware of dying and the bad guys winning.
Yeah.
Based on a plan which, frankly, to me, remains unclear. Like what Shao Kahn's long-term plan was and how this came about, and the fact that he just had people who on hand who could just kind of kill the most powerful fucking sorcerers and warriors in the world, and yet we spent 21 previous episodes with everyone complaining that nobody can beat up a single guy being Kung Lao. So I find that curious, but Yeah, so Shao Kahn played the long game, tricked Raiden into being too concerned with a dramatic debate than doing his job, and everyone loses.
Yeah, end of show, man.
End of show.
Hey, while you were talking, Corey, I walked over to the Neil Nook. Why don't you get over here? Welcome to the Neil Nook.
It's Gucci. Look, I know what everyone's thinking. It didn't seem that difficult to get to these places before. However, there's a lot of like push and pull forces going on here. We're just sitting in chairs, and then Neil's over in the Nook, and then suddenly I'm just being vaulted into the next area.
I mean, in the past, it was like a 20-minute walk between the corner and the Nook, but we just edit that out.
Right.
Now we're saving time. We don't have to edit it out.
Public transit.
We just harpoon each other into the corner and Nook respectively. Yeah, there's something funny there. I don't know. We're going to leave that in 100%.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
So episode 22, Vengeance, was directed by Reza Badi'i. Again, he did the last episode. He's done a few of these. And this time, we only have one credited writer, Steve Hatman. We got the Hatman touch on this one.
Hatman do.
Now, you already listed a bunch of characters, so in terms of new characters or returning guest characters, everyone's in this episode, basically.
Yes.
Everyone except Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Noob Saibot, and Eva Mendes.
Every living character that's not a ninja.
So I'm not going to list them all off, but I do want to name Celine, the new Quan Chi slave that doesn't make it out of the episode alive either. Is played by Robin Seidner, Seidner. And yeah, she comes and goes in this one episode. She only has one other acting credit. Well, it's not even an acting credit. She only has one other credit on IMDb aside from this episode of Mortal Kombat Conquest. It is a special thanks on an episode of something that looks like a web series called Real Comedy, Reel. So, yeah, hey, there she is. So what I want to touch on, it's hard to find good descriptions of who's doing stunts for who in this. So, but I do want to say that
there's a lot of fighting, so it's worth acknowledging this.
Sultan Udin is back. I guarantee he was playing one of the Shadow Priests because there is definitely a capoeira guy fighting Shang Tsung. John Valera is back. Bonnie Yanagasawa is back. Christopher Lepps is back. He stunt doubles Jeffrey Meek. Marcus Young is back. He stunt doubles Bruce Locke. John Medlin, of course, the coordinator. Mark Casso, C-A-S-O. How would you say that, Corey? Casso or Queso?
Queso is my gut response.
Mark Queso does stunts. Nick Brandon does. Just wanted to give them attention, like I like to do from time to time. We've also got so Carrie Lauren. I don't think we've ever really mentioned her before on this show. I mentioned her last week. I thought she might be the Cat Warrior. She's in this episode credited as Warrior uncredited. She is credited as Warrior uncredited in all 22 episodes of Mortal Kombat
Oh
Conquest,
my god!
with the exception of the Festival of Death episode, where she is credited as one of the Festival Ghouls.
So is she...
She must be like a background player or something.
But is she one of the only people then in every episode of this show?
I think so. I mean, I think it's her and Paolo, really.
I love that. I love that there is somebody who has been with us the whole time, and we didn't even know.
You're right. We got to keep an eye out. I got to keep an eye out for Carrie Lauren on future rewatches. Carrie Lauren, come on the show, please.
Yeah, you would probably have the most behind the scenes info. You know what I mean?
You were there for it all. The one thing I'm upset about is that we did not get Silk Manning back as a Shadow Priest. What a missed opportunity.
Yeah, pour one out for a man.
Maybe if there had been a season 2, we could have seen him like torturing Raiden or some shit, right? That would have been cool. That's it for the Neil Nook. So
now what?
Let's just get right into it. I've been working on my Corey impression. How is that?
I'm all for it.
All right. So as we go through the events of the episode, there are going to be a lot of times where it's cutting from Raiden and Shao Kahn in this portal, meeting in the middle of this portal and talking about things, and then it's going to cut right back to some activity happening in Zhuzhen.
And by some activity, we mean somebody getting murdered.
Right. So we're probably going to brush over a lot of it.
This is not a complicated episode. It's the most straightforward episode, I think, maybe in the entire show because of how straightforward that is.
Yeah.
Like, two guys argue, and then everyone else dies.
And then they fight a little bit. That's mostly what I want to talk about is when we get to the fight. But let's start at the beginning.
And that fight slaps.
It ruled. But let's I mean, it's hard to not to gloss over the very beginning of the episode that involves Raiden and Shao Kahn both jumping through this portal and meeting in this weird like between realm pocket.
Yeah, this liminal space.
And Shao Kahn's doing his whole "you will bow to me," and Raiden's doing his whole "never." And then
Raiden introduces himself.
"I am Raiden, God of Thunder," and we get
and it's very silly.
We get sweet lightning effects. I love it.
And then Shao Kahn introduces himself as a conqueror of realms.
Yeah,
not a god. Notably, not a god. He doesn't say "I'm the god of conquering realms" or anything. They hinted at a previous relationship, but I'm wondering if they are literally on different footing compared to the typical canon of they are both gods and realm protectors, and then Shao Kahn just said, "Fuck you."
Yeah, I don't think that was super established when this show was made. I mean, in Annihilation, that was kind of a thing. Spoiler alert for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's revealed in that movie that this universe's Raiden and Shao Kahn are brothers, like literal brothers and children of Shinnok.
Oh, right.
Did you forget that?
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie twice, and I fully forgot.
Yeah, because it's stupid. Is that why you forgot it?
Probably.
They don't address that in this, but I do think that I mean,
they hint at something. They've had some previous relationship.
Yeah, they're real mad at each other.
Almost
for sure.
Implying that they were on some kind of same team at some point. It's kind of unclear, but there's something happened in the past.
But I think it's likely that in this universe, because we've seen the weird rules about gods, right? Like we see, again, they talk about it in this one, that if he crosses over to another realm, if Raiden crosses over to another realm, he loses his powers and things like that. Maybe there was some kind of sacrifice that Shao Kahn made when he decided to become a conqueror, where he did lose his godhood, and that's why he's turned to like magic and sorcery for power. It's
weird that is how that works, because Raiden literally right before that becomes an issue says, "You can't come into Earthrealm, but I can come to you," without any acknowledgement that there are consequences if he does that. And then there are consequences if he does that.
Yeah, it's all very confusing, and we'll try to sort through it as we go through this.
Like, I'm fine with the past not being explained, but there are, like, functional elements of how the plot of this episode plays out that I don't understand.
Yeah, they're trying to tie up a lot of loose ends.
But their solution to tie up all these loose ends is we're going to kill everybody.
They're like we got all these knots in this rope. Let's just cut all the knots out. And the rope falls apart.
It's like you were like halfway through a game of chess and you thought that the other player might have a checkmate in the next like couple moves. So you lit the board on fire. Some motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill. Everybody go watch Blade.
Anyway, yeah, so Raiden and Shao Kahn are confronting each other. They're telling each other who they are, and then they like throw a couple like fireballs at each other.
They're telling each other who they are.
So then we cut to Zhu Zhen, right? And Zhu Zhen is just going through an earthquake, and it is fucking trashed the trading post. You know, Ciro and Taja are there, awkwardly moving around like the place is shaking when obviously it wasn't.
Even the Mortal Kombat Conquest logo is rumbling, which I think is great.
That was a nice touch. Yeah, so Taja and Ciro are there and the earthquake's over and they're like, holy fuck, something crazy's going on. Taja's like, look at the sky, it's all purple and this is weird. It's not usually like that. And then Kung Lao comes in and they're like, hey, Kung Lao, were you able to find Raiden?
Clearly we need Raiden. Taja is like, the one time we need Raiden, we can't find that fucking guy anywhere. It's like he's not even trying.
It's typical Raiden, right? He's never here when we need him, and he's always here when we don't. Yeah, and they're like, yeah, I don't know. We got to go look for him. Let's all go look for him this time.
It's worth saying what she says is, that's so Raiden. Which is the spinoff we all want from Disney Channel.
Yeah.
With
You made a similar joke about Raven, the TV series, as being That's So Raven.
Good. And I should, and I'll keep doing it.
I love it.
The second she said that's so Raiden, I was like, oh, it's like that show I watched when I was a child. That's so Raven. And now here's the question. Is it Jeffrey Meek in a high school with lightning powers? Or is it Raven Simone in a fantasy land with lightning powers?
I think it's your classic body swap situation, honestly.
It's like Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
Does that mean Raiden is like on The View or whatever she does?
Yes, yeah. But it's a full swap though. So it's just Jeffrey Meek suddenly like in a high school class.
I like how for a second I went for real life Raven Simone.
And then Raven Simone is in Zhu Zhen like getting Scorpion and Sub-Zero to get along through the power of song.
Well, she has magical powers. She has visions and stuff.
I know, but I also know she was a singer
She knows some shit.
So now we do cut immediately back to Shaka, and all the people are there, like all the Shaka people.
Cultists.
All the cultists, all the death cultists are like...
Let's keep it simple.
They're like cheering, and we zoom in through the portal, and Raiden is talking to Shao Kahn about how the Elder Gods are never going to let him take Earthrealm. And Shao Kahn's like, hey man, look, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, buddy.
Great rulers take great risks.
Once I've taken Earthrealm and combined it with Outworld, I'm going to be like so fucking powerful, and the Elder Gods are going to have to respect me and fear me.
Yeah, he's got some kind of plan, and like he wants to be like he wants to be respected more than anything. Like he wants power and he wants Earthrealm, but like
he just wants a hug from his dad.
What this comes down to is like, yeah, he wants. It almost seems like he wants Raiden very specifically to like not treat him like a brute joke and like take him seriously. And this was the part of the episode where I started to find it strange that the focus was very clearly going to be about Shao Kahn and Raiden and have basically nothing to do with Kung Lao at all.
Right. Which is
weird.
It's weird. It's kind of fascinating, like on a zoomed out level of like Kung Lao is Earthrealm's chosen warrior and he won Mortal Kombat and saved us from invasion. But like on a larger scale, each of these individual warriors are pretty insignificant, right? Because we are dealing with like gods at play, you know?
Right.
And there's just like it's a rule of the gods that gave Kung Lao the ability to stop the invasion, not something he did on his own, you know? It was like the system was set up for him to succeed.
That's a really interesting sort of like macro way of looking at it. I guess I just find it strange then to do an entire TV show where whether or not Kung Lao is alive is considered the most significant thing in the world.
Right, 100%.
And everyone's goal is we need to kill that guy. And then you get to the very end, and it's like, actually, he exists in a structural, like, we all live in a society, and Kung Lao, you're actually significant to what's going on here. Fuck you. Like, well, that shift is what I don't understand.
We're gonna check back in on that at the end, because I got some thoughts about that. But like, I agree with you. Like, I agree with you just as a viewer. Like, I love Jeff Meek. I think he's great as Raiden. I think he's really, really great as Shao Kahn. So I don't mind them getting an episode. But yeah, when this is like your season, even if you like really thought you were getting season 2, right? And this is your season,
a weird
this
ending
is your
regardless.
Season finale for season 1. I want the focus of the story to be on Kung Lao, the hero of the show, the guy we've been following and rooting for this whole time, right? Like, if they had taken an episode off, like they gave us the Shang Tsung episode earlier, you know? If they had taken an episode off from having Kung Lao be the focus and had this Raiden stuff happen earlier, it'd be okay. But just the fact that it's like the finale.
Yeah, take out the Black Dragon episode and shift everything down one, and then leave the finale for more stuff to happen after this.
Yeah, put one episode after this where it turns out Kung Lao isn't dead and he saves the fucking day. Then the story's about the power of mortals and all the kind of stuff that the movies were about. But yeah, so speaking of our boy Kung Lao, he's walking around Zhu Zhen and the whole place is sort of rocked from the earthquake. And yeah, somebody passes him a note. Somebody in a black hood gives him a note. And he opens it up and it says, "Do you like me? Check yes or no. And then meet me in the alley."
And he's like, he just checks the yes box like 7 or 8 times.
And then he runs off to this alley to meet this stranger, and it's Princess Katana. It's Audie England back as Princess Katana. She got the second episode. We don't get a third Katana. They kept an actress.
That would have been so good, actually. Fuck.
Right.
Just looks completely different.
Katana's like, hey, Kung Lao, some shit's going on. Like, no one's seen Shao Kahn. There's a lot more guards in his palace. People are following me. Some shit's going on, right? Like, we got to meet. Let's meet at the temple where we can be safer and we can talk in private. And Kung Lao's like, can I bring my friends with me? Ciro and Taja?
And she's like, yeah.
They haven't had much to do so far this episode. And she's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get them paid, you know? And, yeah, they're going to meet at the Temple of Light. So she walks off. Kung Lao walks off to go back to the trading post. And
he looks concerned.
Yeah. And we see that somebody else was eavesdropping on this conversation. And it was a shadow priest.
Someone not even games. Trying to not look suspicious.
Yeah. But weirdly dressed almost exactly like Kitana was, which makes me think that the show was trying to throw us off a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
But it didn't work.
It did not work.
And now we get to check in with Queen Vorpax, baby.
Vorpax finally got a slight costume change.
She got a cape, a sweet looking cape. She got a chain that like a chain that she wears as a crown on her head.
Yeah, like a head chain.
It kind of rules.
Yeah,
it's a good look.
She looks great. Finally,
she's looking regal as fuck.
Vorpax finally getting her moment in the sun.
Finally,
just in time to get summarily murdered.
God damn it! Oh.
And so we're just, for some reason, I have a note right after. I have a note that says Vorpax looks great, and then I have a note that says, "Why are we just getting to this now?"
Right, and it's really.
Why are we just getting to this now?
Because they took an episode off, so now they have to like catch us up, remind us of what had happened before.
Yeah, so they're having the debate again about whether or not Shang is going to help out with his army thing, as if they still have like a grand invasion and overthrow plans that have just been put on hold while the show was busy with other shit. And
right.
The great thing here is she is being condescending as hell.
Yeah, she
and
is.
It's so great. Like Vorpax is really and truly like coming into her own here, right on time to
get murdered,
die. So that's not ideal, but yeah, she is Tracy Douglas having the time of her life, I'm sure. And
I hope so. I really hope so.
I really hope so, because it looks like fun. So I hope it was.
Vorpax is talking with Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung's pissed, right? He's like, you said you were going to kill Kung Lao before we fucked, and you didn't, and Kung Lao's still out there. He survived, and I just can't get it up because I need him to be dead for me to get it up. And Vorpax is like, no, come on. Like, I saved you from Reptile. Reptile was going to fuck your shit up, and I got you out of there, and you're safe in my camp with me. In a couple days, we'll have like an army of thousands that we made, and here's what I'm going to do for you, Shang, old buddy. I'm going to send that army after Kung Lao before I send them after Shao Kahn. Is that good enough for you? You know? Like, come on, let's fuck already.
Right.
Oh, she also acknowledges that she is, in fact, 100% using him.
Oh, yeah.
Which is something else she'll reaffirm to several characters throughout the episode, which I am very happy that she's just like, no. This is means to an end. You're just a tool to me. And you're just a tool. From here, we cut to Zatara, where Reptile's just like super in his feels.
Reptile's like, oh man, I fucked up so bad. Beans. What am I gonna do? Shit.
So Kiri's like, hey dude, come on, get over it, right? We can still ally with Vorpax. Just because she has like Shang Tsung doesn't mean like we can't. Like, maybe you're not like the guy she's gonna bone down
Kiri
with.
is basically talking him off a ledge. Like, look, everything's fine. We can figure this out. We have a plan. We can
still ally with her.
Yeah, we'll go talk to Vorpax. Kriya's dead, and I know that seems pretty cool, but like, we want independence. This will get us independence. Chill out. We got this. Go tell your boys. I'm gonna go see what's up over there.
Yeah.
Kiri has a point, for sure. But is everyone else aware of what's... It strikes me as if these external players, like Vorpax and Reptile and Kiri and Shang, whatever, are less aware of what is happening than the combat crew and Katana are.
I think they're 100% ignorant to what's going on because
they're doing their own politicking at this point.
Right. And also, Vorpax is not Vorpax. Reptile and Kiri are in Zatera. They're on a completely different realm. Yeah, I guarantee, they have no idea what's going on. I think that's the whole thing, right?
Right.
I think the implication, and it would have been super cool, is if the seeds of Shakana and this stuff had been sown throughout the series, and then this was the big reveal, as opposed to it just popping up pretty suddenly at the end, the reveal would have been more rewarding.
Yeah.
Instead, we've got everyone still dealing with the last conflict, the last big conflict on the show that remains unresolved while all of this other stuff is happening.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat conflict.
There it is. With a K, of course.
I just feel like there's a version of this where, yeah, more of those things are just on the level sooner, because I do like your notion that part of this is the significance of pre-existing structures and gods and just powerful beings not caring about what these other players are doing on a minor level. And I think if that were what this were trying to communicate, especially if it were happening a little bit sooner, I think that would be extremely cool. However, I think there are other things within this episode that sort of go against their ability to do it that way. In particular, how concerned literally everyone else is with these individual things, and the fact that all of these characters have been established to be powerful and important to these godly figures. So for it to suddenly sort of pivot to actually this is a realm-sized thing now, and Kung Lao's not ready, so Raiden's going to go handle it. That's the disconnect where it's oh, we're just doing this? Huh.
Right.
Okay.
And they're playing it as if Shao Kahn, he's just so consumed with the fact that he's had this traitor and all of his plans have been foiled. I think it this is his trump card, right? If they had played this whole thing out as if he didn't really know if it was going to be successful or not, but he was backed into a corner and had no other option, was just it was a Hail Mary kind of thing.
What if I just sent the Shadow Priests to kill everybody?
Right. It should be absolutely be more difficult than that. But I guess you could make the argument that since everybody else is distracted with all of these other things, it's a good time for him to strike.
They literally say Quan Chi is the most powerful sorcerer in the realms. And then they literally say that.
She says that about Shang Tsung to Quan Chi, and she's but then we'll kill him, and then you'll be the most powerful.
Well, but I think in other episodes, things like that have been said. And regardless, the point I'm trying to make is, nobody can beat the shit out of fucking Kung Lao either, but then 3 hooded dudes show up, and just everyone gets annihilated.
Yeah, and I think
it feels cheap. It feels cheap to just have sudden, extremely powerful forces just arrive. That's what I don't really. It's just
yes. When we're talking about those specific instances, I've got a little bit more to add to this. But for now, let's go check in with our boy Quan Chi, who is just in his sweet castle, hanging out in his throne. He's got a new slave girl. Her name is Celine. She's bringing him grapes. He's munching on those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cian is super jealous.
As she often is.
So she and Cian and Celine are throwing insults back and forth to each other, and Quan Chi is just kind of oh, Jesus, would you knock it off? They're just fucking bickering. And then Cian's all right, fine. The thing I came here to tell you is that Vorpax has teamed up with Shang Tsung, right? And Quan Chi's super pissed about this, because if you guys don't remember, Quan Chi had made an alliance with Vorpax with Kriya before Kriya died. That was several episodes ago. And he hates Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung's the reason he had to make that alliance in the first place. So now he's she's fucking double dealing? I hate that guy. I hate Shang Tsung. That guy sucks.
Big boy mad.
So we know where Quan Chi is. We know where Princess Katana is. We know where the combat crew is. We know where Vorpax and Shang Tsung are standing. We know what's going on with Reptile and Kiri. So all the pins are lined up, right? And now it's about time to fucking knock them all down. So over in Shaka, there's a bunch of shadow priests.
A significant amount. A gaggle.
Gaggle priests? Is that a thing?
Gross. Maybe one of the worst combinations of words we've said on this show to date.
A murder of shadow priests, in any case.
Truly.
And Shao Kahn is chatting with Raiden, and he's doing the whole thing like, hey, have you ever thought about like joining with me? We could be like super powerful, right? It's the Darth Vader
getting
speech.
the stupid fucking speech that's in everything always.
And Raiden's like, no, I've only ever thought about destroying you.
Is this the part where he is like, oh, do you give Kung Lao and them the same advice I give my warriors? We're not so unlike each other, you and I, blah, blah, blah.
That's the next one. Yeah, but he does give that speech too. We got that to look forward to. Yeah, right now Shao Kahn's just kind of saying like, hey, like I'm super strong. Like I'm super powerful, Raiden. And the more powerful I get, the more enemies seem to appear. And Raiden's like, well, maybe, you should take a look at the people you surround yourself with, right? Maybe because you suck, all the people around you suck. I feel like was the implication of that.
Right. Or maybe you just surround yourself with people that suck.
Shao Kahn's like, yeah, I know. I have a traitor. And I finally fucking figured out who it was. It was Reptile. He was the one. It was fucking obvious.
Yeah.
And it took me way too long to. Yeah, Raiden's like busting his ass. Like it took you that
Raiden's
long.
Like, it took you that long to figure that out. And also like, you think you only have one?
Right.
Everybody hates you, dude.
We all hate you. Everyone.
Literally everyone in Earthrealm or Outworld would kill you at the first opportunity when given it. And he's like, that's what you get for being the big boss.
Yeah, Raiden says like you got no one left. You're all alone. All you have is a few pawns. And Shao Kahn's like, yeah, but like I'm really good at chess.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
wait till you see what I do with these fucking pawns. It's all about how you play your pawns. It's me.
Yes.
You know that IBM computer that's good at chess? It was me the whole time. I played the computer.
The Shao Kahn, right.
Right. Everybody remembers that time in the 80s or whenever that was when the man lost to the chess computer.
Right, yes. Yeah.
When there was only one set of footprints on the chessboard, it's when Shao Kahn was carrying the computer to win at chess.
If you translate Shao Kahn from Outworld into English, it translates to Deep Blue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a joke for 10 people.
If you give a mouse a cookie, it's good at chess. Deep Blue. Pacific Blue is my favorite show about chess.
Deep Blue was the chess computer, right?
I think so. I just couldn't remember the name, so I did everything in my power to not say it.
It was at least a chess computer. You know what? We're not editing this out.
No, absolutely not. It's funnier if we're wrong almost.
All right, so now we get the kickoff of the murder spree, right? Reptile and Kiri are they're about to go, do their thing. Kiri's going to go talk to Vorpax. Reptile's going to probably go listen to some emo again.
Reptile is deep into like Midwestern emo.
Yeah, he is. He likes The Almost, but argues that even though they're like a Christian emo band, they're still like really, really good.
Right. It's like if you just ignore all that stuff about the one being and all their songs, it's actually pretty cool. I don't know any real band names to help carry this bit along anyway, so modern baseball or whatever the fuck that modern American baseball is that one.
You're thinking of that scene from Twilight. That's different.
World's greatest.
That was Muse.
Everyone's favorite Midwestern emo band, Muse.
Yeah, holy shit. The portals open up and they're attacked by Shadow Priests, like 3 of them, right? And Kiri, I thought this was kind of slick. Kiri, not in Reptile outfit, spits acid.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't fucking do anything.
He just fucking catches it.
He catches it in his hand and he's just like, psh, right? And then we get a sweet, the dude who plays Reptile fucking rules.
Too bad he got stuck having to play this lame-ass version of Reptile. Sounds like this show has
a reptile dysfunction.
John Valera, this fight was really, the choreography in this fight was really, really cool. And the Shadow Priests, so we see the first Shadow Priest power. The Shadow Priest he was fighting disappeared like a cloud of vapor and his robe just dropped to the ground. Then he reformed behind Reptile with a robe on. So they can produce new robes in addition to teleporting.
It's pretty sick. And then so I'm gonna fast forward just a touch. So one other cool thing that happens is Reptile does a jump kick and he just gets fucking caught in midair, which is pretty tight. But also, I believe he dies by way of getting his head stomped on and then his neck broken by way of people's feet. Yeah,
the Shadow Priest lands and grabs his head with his feet and snaps his neck.
Yeah, that classic, that pro gamer move that everyone loves. The forbidden UFC moves that you can't use in the octagon.
Neck breaking, yeah, that's pretty frowned upon.
Foot-based neck breaking is Considered OP.
But that's it, man.
And Reptile is dead as hell.
Reptile's gone.
And then Kiri just sort of gets mobbed.
And then the 3 Shadow Priests just sort of rush Kiri. And it's assumed that Kiri's also dead.
Yeah, there are a few that they don't die on screen more as they are just mobbed by a large group of Shadow Priests, and we can only assume they are dead.
But yeah, we got our first 2 casualties of the episode. We got Reptile and
Man, did you just
Kiri.
call those casualties?
Yes.
On this occasion of all occasions, we've stopped using the word fatalities.
Well,
it's the finale.
Casualties with a K.
No.
Kiri. No. Listen, hold on. You're a casualty. People are casualties. People are not fatalities. They had fatalities performed on them.
We have been using the word fatality to describe that the whole show.
Okay. This is semantics.
You come to me on this the day of my podcast's finale, and you don't use the word fatalities.
You know, the word fatality doesn't appear once in Mortal Kombat Conquest.
We do get to finish him.
We get a couple incorrect, flawless victories.
We do.
We get to finish him from the Reptile Men. We don't get a single fatality. I mean, we call them fatalities, and yes.
Then we're covering off for these hack writers.
All right, two fatalities, right?
Right.
2 fatalities that have now caused Reptile and Kiri to be casualties. Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to check in with Raiden and Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn's like, yeah, I know I have other traitors. Kitana's one of them. A viper in my own palace, he calls her, right? And Raiden's like, you've suspected her for a long time, haven't you, dude? But, like, you didn't do anything about it, did you? And Shao Kahn's excuse is, well, I got a lot of Edenians in Outworld, and she's a powerful symbol to them to help keep them in line. Something happens to her, they're all going to be after me. And then Raiden is like, yeah, but there's a darker reason too, isn't there? And like, yes, there is. Shao Kahn wants to fuck her. It's gross. They just had to touch on it though, didn't they? And now I had to bring it to the podcast.
Yeah, you had to. There was no, the entire integrity of our conversation would have been for nothing had we not managed to gloss over that one single fact.
I mean, we got to call the show out when it's appropriate, right? So now we are going to cut to the crew at the temple. They walk into the one room at the temple that we ever see.
Yeah, that is the temple, the capital T temple.
It's like the Cinderella castle at Disney. Anyway, yeah. So they walk in and they're like, "Hey, Kitana, it's us."
And she's like, "Hey, it's me, Kitana."
And she's like, "Hey, it's me, Kitana, looking like I always have for every time I've been here, right?"
It's me, completely normal looking Kitana.
And then, oh shit, Shadow Priests, right?
Shadow Priests again for the multiple time.
They pop in. They put up a magic barrier that keeps the crew from being able to help
which they can
Kitana.
apparently just do. They set up a magic barrier that pushes them up against the wall, and then they summarily get into a fight where Kitana pulls some cool shit with her fans. And then they just pull their fans out of the body like it didn't even hurt, and they proceed to mob her.
Yeah, she sticks the lead Shadow Priest with the fan. He just like kind of pulls it out.
And the fans look great.
They do. It is the same prop from Annihilation, so that's like movie quality right there.
And then she is murdered with her own fans.
Yeah, they lift her up by her neck. It's real fucked up, and then they slash her.
Yeah, it's brutal.
With her, it is. And that's another fatality. Kitana is down. Jesus.
And this is the point in my notes where I wrote, no way, what the fuck, they will not. You're gonna run out of characters. Little did I know that was kind of the plan.
Yep, that was the plan. So then the Shadow Priests just kind of fuck off. They don't do anything to the crew, right? No. And I'm going to be real here. Kung Lao, Zero, and Taja did not seem all that. Like, there was no stopping to cry or mourn. Like, maybe they're just like, shit is drastic and we got to, like, keep moving.
Yeah, I think, they just situationally, did not have time for it.
I would have liked to see something, just a little bit, even if it was like Kung Lao starting to break down and his friends being like, come on, man, we gotta stop this from happening. We gotta figure this out.
Yeah, well, and then after the next cut to Raiden and Shao Kahn, we get the whole, like, what are the three of us supposed to do to go bail out Raiden? Because clearly shit is really bad and we need to do something.
We got to go back to that hidden city. And Taja's like, well, Raiden told us not to. He told us to leave, right? And now you want to go back? Because, again, Taja has a head on her shoulders. But, like, in this instance, like, you got to do something, right?
Right.
So they're like, well, we need who's going to help us. And this is when Kung Lao gets the genius idea to contact the only person he knows who is immortal, Omijis, right?
Right.
I don't understand the line of thinking here. Like, I understand from a...
I understand they wanted Omijis to show up in the episode.
Sure.
But yeah, I also don't know why Kung Lao's gut reaction to we need help was go get Omijis.
But that's what they're going to do. They're going to go get Omijis. And Ciro calls her an old hag. He's like, you mean that old hag in the woods? And that was very funny because that's when you realize that, they've never met her. Taja and Ciro never met Omijis.
And obviously they need to before the show ends.
We have to get some kind of emotional connection to her and the crew so that we feel her death more. So now we've got Vorpax visiting Quan Chi in Quan Chi's awesome castle.
And Vorpax and Cian continue to hate each other. And so we get an all-time great Vorpax line here to Cian, which is, assassin, whore, and spy. What a versatile girl you are.
Ooh,
that is some all-time great Vorpax.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just a good fucking burn.
It is. It's interesting because honestly, the two of them were in very similar roles,
situations,
but to different sorcerers.
And now Vorpax is prepared to play high and mighty because she got out.
Vorpax didn't like her situation, and Cian seems to really like her situation.
And Vorpax is basically showing up, and she's like, "Hey, now I know what you're thinking, Shang Tsung. Look, we both hate that guy. Don't even think for a second that I like that guy, because I don't. I think he sucks. So, here's the pitch. What if we, and stay with me here, teamed up instead? What do you think?" And also, Quan Chi, I want to fuck you.
Right. She's like, I'm gonna fuck Shang Tsung
because I have to.
I'm gonna get this army out of him. Right.
Gross.
And then you can kill him, and then I'll fuck you and make an army with you also.
But because I want to. Like she is like she's laying into that aspect hard. Whether she means it or not is really neither here nor there.
But she knows what Quan Chi would want to hear.
Yeah,
exactly. This version of Quan Chi, insatiable.
This is the point where I started to feel like we were trying to fit way too much information into a single episode because so many different things had been happening up to this point. And then actually we get another great Vorpax burn on Cian. Why don't you go lie in a grave somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, I wrote that down too.
Like, that's something I wish I could say to like real people in real life. Why don't you go lie in a grave somewhere? Vorpax stays undefeated. Best character on this fucking show.
Flawless fucking victory, Vorpax.
Honestly. If I had to do like a tier list of all the best Mortal Kombat Conquest characters, S tier, Vorpax.
Vorpax leaves. We get more Shao Kahn and Raiden shit. This is when we get the speech. This is when we get the "we're not so different, you and me" speech from Shao Kahn, right? And Raiden's like, "Oh no, we're pretty different because I'm not a fucking beast, right?
Right.
You're a beast. You're a beast, Shao
And then
Kahn."
we acknowledge that Raiden made the same mistake that Kung Lao did, which is, I should have destroyed you long ago.
Yes.
Raiden had an opportunity to kill Shao Kahn and didn't. He says that's one of Raiden's flaws, which is the same principal flaw that Kung Lao ultimately could have avoided by just killing Shang Tsung in the first place. And
Absolutely.
Whether or not putting their sort of like moralistic high ground over how much better everyone's lives would be with those two people not alive.
Yeah. Raiden's saying something about how he has this desire to kill Shao Kahn or destroy Shao Kahn, and Shao Kahn's like, be careful. Too much desire can kill. And then we cut to Quan Chi and Cian, which I thought was kind of a brilliant little touch because Quan Chi's the horniest guy on the show.
Yeah.
The horniest person on the show.
It's worth just going back over how they are really profoundly trying to make the parallel here between Raiden and Kung Lao.
Right.
And I get why, but that's another thing that makes me wonder why it's not just about Kung Lao instead then, because it's the finale of your show and he's the protagonist.
Right.
But they are building on what the whole show has been about, which is sort of like confronting things that you don't want to do and sort of reckoning with past decisions and how you can build from those and trying to become a better leader, because Shao Kahn also does at some point in the episode sort of rip on how Raiden is just sort of being self-righteous while using the same kind of advice that he, a quote-unquote bad guy, would use. And this is not exactly like very deep philosophical ideology here, but it is like an interesting conversation for them to be having.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like a lot of what they were talking about, if I tried to track it line by line,
it's in one ear and out the other. It means something more in feeling than like literally this is about something.
Yeah. It didn't feel like a natural conversation. It didn't feel cohesive to me. It felt like both of them just trying to make a point and not hearing what the other person is saying at all.
No, yeah. It was them both trying to articulate why they're better than the other guy without really caring what the other person had to say at any particular moment, which is really something that Rain and Shao Kahn both do a lot.
That's true. That's very true. It is character consistent. So
in that they are both Jeffrey Meek.
Yes. From here, we cut to Quan Chi and Xian, who are talking about how they're going to kill Shang Tsung, and then once he's done with that, he's then just going to kill Vorpax, because Vorpax's been fucking around too much, right? Like messing with his head and playing games and shit, you know?
You're going to mess around and find out.
And then they walk into like his dining hall, I guess, and like the table is set with...
This is one of the all-time greatest bits in the history of the show. I'm not going to interrupt you, but like I just want everyone to know what you're about to hear is one of the greatest things this show has ever done, and it's for absolutely no reason.
It's so fucking funny. So Quan Chi sees like his dinner has been made, and he's like, "Oh, look at that! Celine made me dinner. You're pretty fucking jealous of Celine, aren't you, Cian? Yeah. Celine rules. I'm really into Celine. You don't like her much, though, do you?" And he sits down at the table and takes the lid.
And she says, Celine knows how to use her head. And then
Quan Chi takes the lid off the serving tray, and it's Celine's head.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Cian's like, gotcha. You've been pranked, motherfucker.
Baited. And then Ashton Kutcher runs out, and he's like, "You've just been punked."
And Quan Chi's pissed about this, right? He gets up, and you can see that he is angry about this,
and it's not hangry. He's mad about this.
And so he like hops up, and he's mad, and he doesn't get a chance to do anything because holy shit, guess who just showed up for dinner unexpectedly?
Shadow priests.
Whole bunch of shadow priests. And Cian's like, sorry, I didn't make enough head for everybody.
Gross. And so something happens to Quan Chi here.
Right. Oh, real quick. This is the first time we see Quan Chi fight with his full armor on. He retained the spikes and everything.
Yeah, and for some reason he refuses to use any of his cool sorcery at all.
Right. Yeah, he's just like kicking and flipping
kicking and punching and jumping and stuff. Do you want to talk about what happens to Quan Chi? Because I was alluding to this earlier, but we wanted to save it, and I know like you seemed pretty high on it, so I would like to let you have this one also.
So historically, when Quan Chi escapes, he opens a green magic portal on the floor beneath him and drops through it, right? We've seen that a few times. This is one of his moves, one of his special moves, right?
This is what he does.
So after fighting for a while, he jumps up on a boulder that's just kind of in his dining room.
You keep saying dining room. It's a cave. Well, it's got cave decor. It's not like he's got like a china cabinet.
But it is where his dining room table is.
It's a room where he's dining, but I don't know if it's a dining room.
It's a dining room. It's an open plan castle. And it's the dining area. I'm just saying.
Sure, it's cool. I get it.
And he says something bizarre that didn't make any sense to me. Something like, "Tell Shao Kahn it'll be me next time," or something like that. It seemed like a weird edit.
Yeah.
And then he activates his floor portal in the boulder and drops through. But before he's all the way through it, one of the shadow priests throws blue magic at him.
Right, which we all know cancels green magic. This is basic science.
And he just gets stopped, and he's like, "Oh no, cobalt!" So they like magicked him with cobalt, which cancels out magical powers.
And he's just sitting with his torso sticking out of this fucking rock.
He's just like a broken Jack in the Box. He's just stuck.
And Neil, would you believe me if I told you what happened next?
What happened next, Corey?
Then they both die.
Holy shit. Yes, the Shadow Priest throw Cian at the rock and then just pull out a fucking sword and cut them both down.
Just a big sword.
It's a big old sword.
When in doubt, big sword.
Fucking... That's how Quan Chi goes out. He gets stuck in a rock and cut with a sword. Shameful.
Yeah, it goes out, to be honest, what is kind of a lame way.
Embarrassing. I'm just going to say he deserved a better exit.
As I think a lot of these characters did, frankly.
Yes, but this one was just particularly comical that it was like It was really, it almost felt like a fuck you, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, totally.
All right. So, meanwhile, Kung Lao and Ciro are talking to Omegis out at Camp Omegis, I guess.
And Ciro is so instantly horny.
Horny.
Because he was like, hold on. This is the old hag. So they're talking to Omegis, and Kung Lao gives the rundown where he's like, shit's bad. We don't know what's happening. We don't want everyone to die. We need to fix this. And Omegis is like, hold on. Kung Lao, stop. Hold on. So you came to me, an immortal person that wants to die, and you want me to help you, a newly immortal person who doesn't want to be immortal, to let us both continue being immortal. Fuck you. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. You're insane. I'm just going to I'm going to wait to die. This is going to be fucking awesome. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited to die. You know how I want to ring in dying? Hey, Ciro, do you want to fuck right here, right now?
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, I'm not getting involved. I wanted this for so long. You guys can, like, especially you, Ciro. I think both, but it's particularly
she
Ciro.
is particularly offering Ciro a good time.
Yeah. Like, you want to just hang out here and bone down until the world ends? Because that's my plans. And, yeah, but they're like, come on. Look, we just need a chance. You got to do something to help us stop whatever is happening.
She's like, God,
like, please.
Fine if I help you, will you fucking shut up?
Yeah. Well, she asks. She's like, I get it, Kung Lao. I get why you want to do this, but like you, Ciro, like, do you really want to go out this way?
And he's like,
yeah.
Yeah. He finally overpowers his horniness.
Yeah, I want to fight.
And wants to fight.
I want to save Earthrealm. I'm Ciro the hero, right?
I'm going from 0 to 0.
So she's like, fine, okay, all right, you got it. And then we cut over to Vorpax. She's getting ready to
get down with Shang.
Yeah.
I like how the show was like, I know it's the finale, but we simply must make time for a sex scene. We simply must. And my only real note on this whole scene is she describes her cape as a gown. It's not a gown, it's a cape. It's a cape over top of her regular clothes. It's not a gown. That is my only note, is that she used the wrong word.
The only interesting note that I have on this specific part of it is that Bruce Locke takes his shirt off for us one last time.
God bless him for that.
And that's it. They hop in bed, and it's weirdly, like, at least at this point, weirdly, like, sweet.
She did say it would be a good time.
Right.
If he did. So.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they sensed the end was coming here.
Sure. So they bonk.
Just like that big-headed video game caveman child. And then there was a point where I was like, did we just get baited? I initially thought happened.
Cut to the after.
Yeah, well, because Vorpax comes back in and is like looking at the bed and just horrified, but like her clothes are on it also.
Yes.
And I had a thought where I was like, did Quan Chi send somebody? Or I guess it couldn't be Quan Chi because he died, but did somebody send somebody who looked like Vorpax to trick Shang Tsung? I'm like, is that how deep this is getting? It's not.
Really? But
that was my instant first thought when she was looking at that bed in confusion and disgust, was that she had been like beat to the punch.
Sure.
In reality, she just really didn't want to fuck Shang Tsung, understandably, and wants that bed to be burned.
So I hate that they wrote in a storyline where she's trying to fuck Shang Tsung, the guy who tortured her and abused her and raped her in the cobalt mines for so long.
Yeah, it seems.
I hate that that's present in the show. Now, the fact that it's present in the show, and I can't change that, makes me sort of like the fact that they're actually showing us how traumatized from this she is. Right, like, yeah. At least they did that. At least they didn't make like everything.
It would have been great to not like just re-traumatize her constantly over and over again.
Absolutely, yeah. I would have preferred that for sure. I would have preferred that this storyline of her trying to bonk Shang Tsung to make an army just wasn't present at all. But at least they had the decency to be like, she didn't like this and she hated this, and now she's asking her servant to take the bed outside and burn it because she's so just horrified by it all. It felt real. It gave her depth and dimension, and I'm glad that, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it ended up being the best case for that plot line that they shouldn't have put in the show at all.
Right. Yeah.
You're right. I'm not praising them for doing any of it.
No. Yeah, of course.
But before she gets any kind of like real victory or gets to kill Shang Tsung or do, any of the shit that we want to see her get to do. Some portals open up behind her, and she's like, oh good, it's you, Quan Chi, just in time. Time for you to kill Shang Tsung. But she turns around, and oh shit, it's a bunch of shadow priests.
Can you believe it?
Holy fuck.
What if I told you both of these characters were about to die? Why? At this point, I was getting fucking exhausted. I was just like, okay, I get it. We're killing everybody.
And they just swarm her. They just swarm her. We don't get to see her fight. We know she can fight. She doesn't get to. They just swarm her, and it cuts away.
Yeah.
But, pour one out for everybody's favorite Mortal Kombat character, Vorpax, because she just died.
Moment of silence. That's probably long enough. And then we're back to Raiden and Shao Kahn. And Shao Kahn's like, hey, Raiden, think about it for a second. Doesn't part of you want to go check on what's happening in Earthrealm? Aren't you a little concerned that maybe some bad shit's been happening in Earthrealm while I've had you here just talking endlessly wherever we are? What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is when he's like, it's kind of weird how, like, if I went to Earthrealm, I could just go to Earthrealm and I'd have my powers and be cool. But if you went to Outworld, you'd lose all your powers and you'd be immortal, right? Isn't that fucking weird, dude?
Shit's fucking crazy. There's no way you're definitely doing that right now. I mean, what?
Sure. Yeah.
No, I didn't say anything. You said it, idiot.
Raiden says something like, you've survived for way too long, Shao Kahn. Again, thinking about how he should have killed him a long time ago. And Shao Kahn's like, I fucking thrived. I'm mad stronger. I've had a real glow up over these past few centuries.
I have a skincare routine.
Yeah. And Raiden's like, yeah, but, everyone in Outworld would kill you if they had the chance. And Shao Kahn's like, yeah, many have tried. And they all lie dead except one. Cut to Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung in Vorpax's tent, fighting the Shadow Priests.
In like the throne room, doing a bunch of spin kicks. Doing a lot of spin kicks.
And the Shadow Priest is too. He does like 4 in a row spin kicks to Shang Tsung's face.
Doing a borderline comical amount of spin kicks.
Yeah, but this is our last Shang Tsung fight of the series.
I don't want to do a moment of silence because dude sucks, but moment of silence for Bruce Locke.
Yeah, Bruce Locke, amazing. Shang Tsung, fucking terrible, gross human being. Ooh. And yeah, the Shadow Priests. I thought it was kind of cool because at some point Shang Tsung he's the first one out of all of these people we've seen who tries to use magic against the Shadow Priests, right? He pulls out his classic soul-sucking power and starts trying to like soul-suck one of the Shadow Priests, and the Shadow Priest like reverses it. Yeah,
he red magics him, which we all know is the opposite of green magic.
So then Bruce Locke's just like full of whatever this shit was, but it knocks him down and he's like fucking like in pain. And we just see the Shadow Priest leap and it's like gonna come down on his head.
Again, the second person to get like head stomped to death, sort of.
And the scene cuts away.
So now, this is also in my notes. I'm saying this was the point where I was starting to get annoyed at how little of the crew we were getting.
Yes. We go this whole episode without...
We go most of this episode, even near the end, still, like, the majority of the episode does not have the main characters in it.
And they don't get to fight at all. We get, like, a little bit of a fight, but it's not, like, really a fight at all.
Right.
It's a bummer. Yeah. I would have loved to see, or we'll get there. I'm gonna save it for when we get there. So now Shao Kahn is talking to Raiden. He's like, hey, real talk. What would happen if I just stepped through that portal right now? What do you think would happen, right? And Raiden's like, well, if you step out that portal, the Elder Gods, they're not gonna have it, and they're gonna fucking destroy you. And Shao Kahn's like, are they? You really think they're gonna?
Yeah. What if they just don't give a shit?
The decree was that I couldn't just take Earthrealm. I had to fight for it, right?
In Mortal Kombat.
And Raiden's like, well, yeah, you had to fight for it in Mortal Kombat. And Shao Kahn goes, well, what if that is just a myth, right?
Right.
What if I can just go out there and do it? Like, maybe, like, what if these rules are bullshit? Raiden's like, I don't know, dude, you have to go through me first to get through this portal. I'd never let you get through this portal. You got to go through me. And Shao Kahn's like, okay.
Yeah, all right, bud. Cool. Cool.
All right. Now I know what I got to do. And now we are outside Shaka with Zero and Taja and Kung Lao and Omijis.
And Taja is instantly struck by how hot Omijis is, and I love that.
Right? Yeah, as we all have been every time she shows up on this series.
Like,
Angelica Bridges, please come on the show.
Just like what Zero said. She's like, is that the old hag?
Yeah. And they're looking around for the entrance to the city. And they're like, well, the entrance, Raiden must have closed up the entrance when he was like shooting lightning everywhere last episode. Omi just is like, hold my potion, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to do that thing I did when we locked that old man in that cave.
I love that they brought that back. They're like, this is a stone wall. You need a door made in this. I got this. I have done this fucking so many times. I did it like 4 times in one episode. I just happen to have that potion on me. I have no storage. I have no pockets. I don't have a backpack. I just have this one vial.
I've been carrying it in my hand this whole time.
And it was the right vial. So she goes up and she sets the little potion down and then moves her hands around and then opens a door through the rock into the city. And she's like, all right, that's it.
See you, nerds.
I'm not going any further.
BRB gonna go die. See you later.
Yeah. You sure you want to come, Zero? And then she kisses him.
Yeah. And he rolls with it, which is also just sort of it's a strange thing.
Who wouldn't?
It's a strange thing.
It is. And she's like, come on, it'll be fun. No, okay, well, it's still going to be fun without you. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But, so then the crew, they're sort of like, okay, let's go. We got this. Team, friendship, we love this. And then they go in through.
We fought our way through everything so far.
We can do this.
Let's fight one more time.
And then we go back to Shao Kahn and Raiden, but this is potentially the most important one, because this is when Shao Kahn is like, so, do you, when you talk to Kung Lao and them, do you tell them the same thing I tell all my warriors? You know, you have to know your enemy, find his weakness, and exploit it. And then Raiden, Neil, it's like poetry. Raiden gets this look in his face, and he's like, oh, fuck. Because you know what happened to Raiden, Neil?
What happened? What happened to Raiden?
One last time, Raiden's been fucking baited.
Oh, shit. Another prank?
Shao Kahn rips into, what you say are their virtues are their weaknesses. They are caring, compassionate. They care about friendship, and it's going to get you all killed.
Yes.
So what Raiden is realizing is that he's just been distracted this whole time while Shao Kahn has been lining everything up to get the combat crew, and more particularly Kung Lao, I suppose, into a vulnerable position, and realizes that he cannot go do anything about it, because if he leaves, Shao Kahn will follow him. So his only option is to fight Shao Kahn here and now, which is probably not what the plan was.
Yeah, Shao Kahn's like, all I had to do was keep you here long enough, and I knew your boy would show up.
I do have an instant complaint about this plan, though, before we get into that.
Yeah, what's that?
The fact that Shao Kahn knew that they would come to Shaka is the reason this whole plan worked, is how they're framing it. But literally all episode, we have seen shadow priests just appear wherever they want and kill people. Is there any reason they couldn't have just sent them to wherever they were and just done it that way?
There is. Now, if you'll allow me, this is messy. It doesn't line up perfectly, but nothing in this show does. We have seen time and time again that Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung have not been able, they've been forbidden from acting directly towards Kung Lao. That's why they're hiring outside people like the Lin Kuei or Scorpion or Quan Chi or Quan Chi or whatever, like to try to get to Kung Lao. I think that if Shao Kahn had sent his shadow priests to attack Kung Lao directly, that would have been a violation of the rules.
The rules that he doesn't care about. But that's still what's happening. It's still direct. It's just the fact that the argument would have to be that it's being instigated because they showed up there. But it's still direct. It would still be an issue with the rules. Except
for what we kind of see, the way this plays out is kind of, it's weird. We should get through it, like because of what's going to happen to Shakana or whatever the city is called as a result of what he's doing with his giant portal and everything, and the fact that, spoiler alert, everyone's getting pulled into Outworld as a result of this. I think that's negating the rules. I think that they must have crossed over that border.
Right, but They just don't make it very clear. This final step of the plan is wildly unclear.
It is. I absolutely agree.
Muddy in a way that is frustrating.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, I will be honest. Like the twist still kind of got me. I had actually forgotten until I was watching it this time. I was like, oh, that's right. He's not trying to get into Earthrealm. He's trying to pull everyone over to Outworld. Let's talk about that part of it. So Kung Lao and Ciro and Taja are walking through the city of Shikana, and all the citizens of Shikana are like bowing and chanting and everything. And they're just sort of walking through them all, and nobody's fucking with them. But we see Shadow Priest sort of shadowing them, as Shadow Priests do. And they get up to like that dais with the big skull, and the High Priest is there, and the big portal is there. And they get all the way up there when Raiden kind of finally realizes what Shao Kahn's plan was, and he shouts through the portal and tells them to stay back, right? And the crew sort of immediately tries to fight the Shadow Priests off, but they just get swarmed.
Yeah, takes Raiden a long time to figure this out.
It really does. But the crew gets swarmed by like 10 Shadow Priests. And sadly, that's kind of the last we're going to see of them, because now
they get swarmed and disappear, and we don't see them again. The protagonists of the show.
Yes. The crew.
Look, there is a fine line between a finale being like dark and unexpected and that being cool or whatever, and just not doing enough to do right by characters you've made us spend a season watching. This is that. This is horse shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, the one thing I wish we had gotten was like a tight Kung Lao battle, even if like it's a sacrificial battle that we see him lose. That I would have taken that, of course, over just the three of them
they just get swallowed up by a bunch of robes, and that's it.
Yeah, just piled on by a bunch of dudes in robes.
It's so fucking dumb. Like, this is the thing I think out of everything in the finale that makes me the most frustrated. It's like an almost disinterest in the primary characters of the television show that we're watching. Like,
yeah.
And even if it is in favor of your argument where it's like they want to front the significance of structures and power in existing things ahead of a potential second season, fine. Don't spend your entire finale doing that to the detriment of everything we've been following for the last 21 episodes.
Because guaranteed the whatever they reset with, like the plot, if the plot line is then, oh, Kung Lao didn't die and he is fighting back and he's going to save the day, and then you are taking that, you've zoomed out to the macro level and seen how insignificant the mortals are, and then you're going to immediately zoom back in and see how important they actually are. Like, that would be like the cool, interesting arc, the interesting way to approach this. We needed one more episode is what we needed, unfortunately.
Or a better plan.
I guess my argument is that this could have worked with one more episode. I would have been a lot cooler with how this ended if we had just gotten one more.
They definitely needed more time, just period.
Let's talk about this fucking Raiden Shao Kahn fight.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
It ruled. Shao Kahn's got his sword. He's swinging. He's charging. Raiden's throwing major lightning. It's rad as hell.
He does a lightning teleport.
Yeah, he's got lightning kicks. At some point,
he conjures a warhammer.
Yeah, he conjures a Thor. He does some real like major Thor shit. It fucking rules. I thought it was interesting that Shao Kahn has a sword, which is historically not a Shao Kahn weapon.
It's a Ciro weapon,
and Raiden's got a hammer. Yeah, historically swords are Ciro's thing. Like, that's consistent throughout the entire series.
We know that now.
Yeah. Yes, swords and daggers, as we'll learn later. And they're just, it's pretty brutal. It's a good fight, a lot of special effects. It rules. You got lightning balls, and you got, Shao Kahn greenish fireballs, and you got swords, and I don't know. It's just super good. And Raiden's got Shao Kahn on the ropes. He's down, right? He's ready to defeat him. And he says, go back to Outworld. And then he tries to lightning Shao Kahn, but his lightning's not working.
Nah, his lightning gone out.
He tries it again. It's not working. He's got no charge left, right? And Shao Kahn just starts laughing, right? And Shao Kahn's like, ha, you dumb motherfucker. You're already in Outworld. Ha ha, I pranked. Gotcha. You and your friends, my entire city of Shikana, are now in Outworld. And then he pummels the shit out of Raiden, who's now powerless, like a mortal.
I'm going to level with you. I did not recognize what had happened. I didn't know why his powers went out for quite a while.
It's because his big portal has pulled everyone and everything back into Outworld.
I know. I just feel like they don't communicate that very well, and I guess maybe I had kind of forgotten that was part of the stakes, even though they were literally just talking about it. That, like, I just didn't recognize what was happening initially.
I mean, he literally says, "You're in Outworld now."
No.
You gave me the
No.
time.
I know, but what I'm saying is they didn't communicate very well over time that he would lose his powers if he did that. So then when visually nothing changes and he just sort of says that and maybe you don't catch the line or whatever and you're just like, why? Why is this happening? That's my complaint. I'm not saying it's necessarily it might be my fault. I'm not saying it's the show's fault. I'm just saying this is what happened when I watched it.
Gotcha. Yeah, there was a point where he says if you come to Outworld, you lose your powers. Like, it's totally a thing that you could miss. I feel like I probably missed it the first couple times I watched this, and it was on repeat viewings that I caught what was actually happening. Because like I said, I didn't even retain that was the plan. Like, I've seen this finale 2 or 3 times, and I didn't retain that was what was happening, was he was pulling everyone into Outworld. So, like, I think you're off the hook for that not being clear in the episode for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So now we're in Shao Kahn's throne room, though, and he is just like lounging on his throne in that way that he does that looks rad. And his guards drag in just like a fucking brutally beaten Raiden and drop him on the floor. Because Raiden's just like a dude now, not a god. Shao Kahn gets up and he opens a chest and he starts pulling things out of it, right? And he's like, He like pulls out Reptile's mask. He's like, a traitor's mask, dead. Pulls out Shang Tsung's vest, dead. Quan Chi's spikes, dead. Vorpax's robe, dead. Katana's fan, dead.
Sira's classic knife,
dead. Taja's bracelet, I think the bracelet that Tomas gave her,
yeah,
dead.
Kung Lao's entire outfit.
Kung Lao's shirt or pants, not quite sure.
It's the shirt.
Dead. All dead.
And then he basically just says, I did it, haha.
You will bow to me. And then he like punches Raiden, I think.
He does some mean shit. And then it just sort of ends and nobody had a chance this entire episode.
Yeah, we see a montage of Earthrealm invasion footage from Annihilation. And then we zoom into the trading post, the ruined, empty trading post, still tossed from the earthquake, right? This is something we didn't mention earlier that came back. We kind of pan across the floor and we focus in on this medallion, this dragon medallion. It was what Kung Lao had won from the Mortal Kombat tournament. And the light shines off of it. It definitely looked like it, to me, it went from silver to gold, like they were trying to imply this isn't the end.
Kung Lao was literally immortal because he won Mortal Kombat and cannot die. I'm sure that was part of the plan going from here. Like, Kung Lao literally can't die, but he sure did.
And that's the end of the series. That is the finale. That's it.
It's a wrap.
Everyone's dead. Holy shit.
I feel like I've said most of how I feel about this episode throughout.
Yes.
It's mostly deeply frustrating to have an entire season's worth of stage setting and character development to just sort of be smashed off the table by a plan that we either didn't know he had or did not fully understand until at least maybe one episode before it was actually happening. And then everything just summarily dies. Because I also don't know what that communicates thematically about the show either, because the show was very deeply focused on Kung Lao's growth over time and how he reacts to things, and then there's just so little of that that I don't know if I liked it, and after talking about it for this long, I still don't know if I do. There's stuff I like in it, but I don't know if it's a good finale. Yeah,
I understand, and all signs point to it being, I think next week we're gonna do a wrap up show. We're gonna talk about our entire sort of outlook on Mortal Kombat Conquest. We're going to get we got some stuff from some listeners we're going to play. And then we're going to talk about what would have been the next season of the show.
Which I know nothing about.
Both sort of early plans, like things that, like ideas that have been tossed around and sort of why the show sort of ended pretty quickly. And also what Threshold Entertainment went through and wrote as the official Mortal Kombat timeline to fill the gaps between this and Mortal Kombat, the movie. So we're going to get into all of those things next week. As of right now, in a vacuum, seeing this as the series finale, not thinking anything else is going to come after this, we both said
it doesn't feel like a show that was meant to be a single season. For it to end on this note doesn't work because it wasn't building towards specifically this. It's clear they had more they wanted to do. So it's just not satisfying.
And that's, I think, the biggest reason why it's not. Now that being said, I very much still enjoyed this episode. I thought that they did enough to kind of clean up springing this on us last week. I think that there's a lot of details missing for sure, but like I can headcanon things in to fill the gaps. Like
I just think the show should. I want to make sure that it's not like I need all of everything spelled out for me constantly, but this felt like such a sudden shift that it needed to do a bit more legwork to make this happen.
I'm with you on that. That's it, though. That we are closing the book on Mortal Kombat Conquest. We're going to do a wrap-up next week, and then from there we are going to move on to Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins, and then start talking about the movies. So we're going to see how all of these things connect.
Let this episode and our discussion sit heavy on your soul and conscience for about a week, and then we will have a more proper wrap-up soon to kind of put this to bed more appropriately, given how much we have committed to this fucking television show.
That's right. And if you're hearing this and you have thoughts about Mortal Kombat Conquest that you'd like to share with us and haven't sent them in yet, it's too late because this episode will release after we've already recorded that finale. But you know what? Send them in anyway. We could probably fit them in for sure to a future episode.
Yeah, I think we'll
not,
take
right?
any listener insight.
Yes. But that's it for as far as we know right now. That is it for the Great Kung Lao's journey in this media franchise universe.
And for us with this TV show mostly. We're doing like an epilogue, but yeah, we did it.
I'm proud of us.
Good job, us.
All right, Corey.
Yes.
I think it's time for us to put on some black robes and go murder a bunch of fools.
Great. My favorite, America's favorite pastime.
But before we do that, what do you have to plug?
The usual Twitter and Letterboxd, Mr. Corey Price. I have one other show with our friend Liam where we talk about sequels, reboots, remakes of movies and stuff. That's called They Made Another One. You can find us on all your podcast services. That's the name. Twitter is They Made Another. Letterboxd is TMAO. That is it.
Quick pitch. On your podcast, you ask Liam for his thoughts on the thing, and then you give yours pretty often. Have you considered adopting Corey Corner into your show and giving Liam a segment called Liam's Lair?
We have not had those discussions, but I can't rule it out entirely. That's what I can say for now.
If he ever does our show, he's getting a segment.
Everybody gets a segment.
And you can find me on Twitter at FinalNeil, on Instagram at FinalNeilRetro. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at MK Podquest. Subscribe to the show in your podcast app. Leave us good 5-star reviews. Check us out on YouTube for the ultimate MK Podquest experience. It's the same episodes, but with visual enhancements.
And I think that's enough to call it ultimate, yeah.
And that is it. Oh boy.
Let's not overthink it. Let's just leave it there. Let's let it ride off into the sunset.
Much like Mortal Kombat Conquest, we're kind of ending on a weird note.
Well, yeah, we're not quite done. We're giving ourselves one more episode, unlike the television show.